Um, hey, look at that. We are recording. Nice work, whoever did that. Next thing, Kate had a good reminder here. We're looking for companies or people to host offsite for our March 16th meeting. So that's right during spring break. We planned on just having an offsite. I've hosted in the past at our business, just seven, eight, nine people. And you can either bring a lunch or the business will maybe sometimes supply a lunch, but it's really looking for those businesses at this point in time that would be willing to open their doors and just give a tour, talk about what they do. Um, just a great opportunity to connect what you do for a living with Rotary and our Rotary family. So please think about that. And if you could email us, let's see here, send an email or I need to make that bigger so I can read it better. Well, you'll see it in the chat. Kate put that in there. We'd like something by Wednesday. I'll know there was an email sent out on Wednesday the 4th for more details. So please reply to that if you can help with this activity, or you can email Kate. We have a few already signed up, don't we, Kate?
Yeah, we have about five so far. So we got good participation, but if you want to be a part of it, I don't want you to be left out. So please reach out.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for that. And then next, I believe might just have Kristen, if you wanted to go ahead and give an update.
Yes, sorry. Thank you, fellow Rotarians, for having a few minutes for a report on the grant that was received by United Way of Story County from Rotary Club of Ames. This grant was really helped us finish off an exciting project for us as we opened the Frankie Olson Collaboration Hub earlier this year, well, in 2025. And the grant specifically provided support for the hospitality installation. And I will tell you that we have signed up as an offsite meeting host on March 16th. So if you want to see this in person, please sign up for the United Way site location. This project, again, the Frankie Olson Collaboration Hub, is named after our Frankie Olson, who was our executive director from 2001 to 2010. It actually expands our office space. You know that we're here on 315 Park Avenue. So we've been at this front for many, many years, 20 years. We actually, with this, have expanded to the next windows over. So that used to be the space where Terry Cross's office with Cross Wealth Management. But this is going to be the perfect testament to Frankie's unwavering belief that community betterment requires collaboration, courage, and commitment. In our hub, the volunteers will gather, nonprofits will unite to solve complex issues, and individuals will build skills to strengthen their futures. So this is in memory of Frankie, and that expansion has really let us have a better group space to serve a variety of purposes, including, as I mentioned, education, collaboration, and voluntary engagement. As you're seeing my screens or my screen here, you've got the blueprint of our office. On the left is that space that you've known United Way for to be in for a long time. So on the right side of that, where the seating and tables are depicted, that's the new area in our collaboration hub. Here are some of the photos of our construction phase. In that top left corner, you see our current space and how it's now connected to our next door space. The area with the brown walls, that is the post demolition of what Terry Cross's office was in. And you can see two workers starting to frame out the hospitality area. That bottom left picture, then you're looking at an almost finished space. The hospitality area is nearly done. And then the bottom right photo is showing it as complete. So we are really excited for this space to be able to serve United Way purposes and those of other nonprofits here in Story County as well. And so to welcome them into that group meeting room, you really do need someplace where that home base can be to serve light refreshments, soft drinks, things like that. So we are very thankful for Rotary Club of Ames for helping us put the finishing touches on the hub and really bring this space to life.
Awesome. Kristen, are you up and going now? Did I miss that? Are you fully done with construction?
Yep, we're all the way done with construction, thank goodness. And we've used it. A couple of other area nonprofits have used this space as well. So it is available for that purpose and really does give us much better room to train our volunteers, to have volunteer experiences come in on site, and then collaboration with the nonprofits that we work very closely with as well.
Fantastic. Thanks for that update, and glad the dollars went to good use and for the good that you folks do. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Rotary Club of Ames.
Tammy, did we have anything before our keynote? Did we have anything more? I did update on Lily with Rotaract already.
No, I do not. Selden is going to introduce our speaker today.
Perfect.
Shout out to Mark Swanson, our keynote, for hosting us on his Zoom since we couldn't figure it out. And because I guess Zoom knows who I am, even if I'm on my Gmail account in a different room on my phone, I can't get back to the old one. So hopefully everyone was able to come over. So anyway, that's all I have.
Perfect. We'll turn it over to
Dan?
Selden to introduce our. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So sorry. On the email that Allison sent out this morning for club members, it did have a grant report also from Megan Klein Hewitt with Ames Public Library. And I believe I see Megan on screen now. So could we squeeze Megan's grant update in before our keynote?
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I don't have any slides, so I will try to keep it quick, but thank you, Rotary, for the funding that we received. I'm Megan Klein Hewitt. I'm the Adult Services Manager at Ames Public Library. So I supervise all services to adults 18 to as old as they get, sometimes 100 and plus in our community. We utilized our Rotary grant money to support our deposit collections and home delivery program. So one of the big ways that we serve seniors in our community is by delivering books directly to them, to folks who don't have the ability to visit the library themselves. We have over 70 home delivery customers that we deliver to every month, as well as about 15 deposit collections in the community where we bring materials like between 20 and 70 books every couple of months to senior living communities and other organizations in the community that have an audience at their location. So we utilized the Rotary grant funds to purchase 100 large print books to supplement the materials that we bring out to those individuals and to those deposit collection sites. Those books in particular really benefit folks who are low vision and maybe don't have access to technology to read ebooks, that they can more easily zoom in, or just have a preference for print materials. They also really impact our low income community. We deliver deposit collections and books to sites where maybe they can't or won't successfully manage a traditional library book. So we have a selection of books that aren't cataloged at the library. So it doesn't matter quite as much if it doesn't come back exactly when it's supposed to. It gives folks a little bit more leeway in terms of being able to use the library successfully. And in particular, these large print books are helpful for folks that are in a memory care situation. Maybe they still want to read books, they still want to access materials, but again, they might not be in a situation where they can return it on time for whatever reason. So these 100 books have really helped to supplement the materials that we can share out into the community. And we are very thankful to Rotary for that funding.
Perfect. Thank you, Megan, for that update. Sorry, I didn't catch you there.
All good.
Appreciate you saying something, Kristen. And that's fantastic. Sounds like the dollars went to good use and will continue to help the public. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet. Next up, Selden is going to introduce our keynote speaker, Mark Swanson. I'll turn it over to you, Selden.
Well, thank you, Jamie, and thank you all for being here, and especially thank you, Mark, for stepping up and helping out. Let me tell you the background. Tammy approached me a couple of weeks ago to, hey, February is about peace, and do you have any ideas of speakers that might be of interest this way? And so, coincidentally, I was at a Practical Farmers of Iowa meeting, and Mark reached out to me to come visit his booth, and so I visited his booth, and I am humbled by what Mark and his group have done. This project called Growing Hope Globally is what he's going to talk about, and I am not going to go any further. Mark, if you want to talk a little bit about yourself, that'd be great. But I'd like you to talk about your program as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for allowing me to be here, and thanks, Selden, for the invitation. And a little bit about myself. I live in Decorah, Iowa, so Northeast Iowa, and have been here for about 4 years, 4.5 years. Prior to working with Growing Hope Globally, I was a pastor, serving a couple different churches, most recently in Yakima, Washington. But I'm originally from the Midwest, grew up in the Twin Cities. I'm also a member of Rotary, so I'm a member of Rotary here in Decorah and have been for a few years now, and was really drawn to the service element and the community element, and have had a lot of fun being a part of the Rotary After Hours group. We have two groups here, and one of them is called After Hours, which is meets in the evenings and works out a little bit better for my schedule, and has been a lot of fun to be a part of. So currently, I work with Growing Hope Globally as a regional director in the Upper Midwest and the West Coast, and I'll share a little bit about that as we go forward here. So just going to share a few things here in 20 minutes or less. The origin story of who Growing Hope is, and where we came from. Talk a little bit about our overseas programs, what we're actually doing, why does Growing Hope exist? Talk about our growing projects, which is an important part of who we are, and perhaps of interest to you. Some opportunities perhaps for connection, and then a little Q&A time. So just setting it up, we are a group that is a Christian. Our sort of tagline is a Christian response to hunger. Just real quickly here, where does hunger find itself these days? About 1 in 11 people are facing chronic hunger across the world. That's more than 700 million people, and more than 3 billion people can't afford to have a healthy diet. And particularly too, to the point of talking about peace issues, hunger has these ripple effects. Just this last week was unrelated to Growing Hope. It was something else I was connecting to, was someone who's just speaking about this very fact of where hunger goes on. There's just higher risk of war and violence. But you can tie so many other issues of education and human trafficking, environmental concerns, so many things that are tied to the issue of hunger. And so those issues and just folks that are dealing with that was really what motivated our founders and the folks that got originally involved in helping us get established back in the previous century in Northwest Ohio. There was a group of farmers that wanted to make a difference, wanted to make an impact, and when it came to hunger, and felt like the best way was to grow a crop, that would provide some resources to feed some folks around the world. And so they did just that. They grew a crop, put it on a barge, sent it off to a nation in the developing world, and they figured out 3 things really quickly. One, to do that is really, really expensive. It was 15 times as much they estimated to actually transport what they had grown to what the cost it was to grow it. And then when that food arrived, right, it was a short-term solution, as food is consumed and then it's gone. And third, and importantly, there's farmers in that community. So it meant that, you flood a market with free food. What does it do for those farmers in those communities? It really undercut what they were doing. And so they said, this can't be the way, that there's got to be a different way. And that since that time, the work shifted to focusing on agricultural development. So, and that's really who we are. Our work is about saying, how do we focus on development? How do we focus on teaching people to have that ability and joy and dignity of growing their own food versus responding just to the next crisis and waiting for that next crisis to come? That, of course, there's a time and a place, and we have crises going on right now around the world that need to be responded to. But we're talking about ag development and that what we like to say is a lasting solution to hunger. Um, and it's a way to respond to hunger in a way that's going to make both this lasting difference, but also does it in a way that empowers people and gives dignity to who they are. And so this is what we've been about for more than 25 years, helping folks be able to grow their own food. And it looks very different around the world, but we found that for about 55 bucks is what it takes to help somebody go through our programming to help them grow a lasting solution to hunger. So we've also found it to be, as other development organizations have, just a cost effective and really creates this lasting difference. So what do we have? Well, we have 49 programs in 31 countries that are all doing this work of teaching folks how to farm. And it's very, very contextual to those communities. So here's a picture from a farmer in Uganda who has coffee trees. And so the program there is helping establish just, better yields of coffee, but also establishing market access so they can get those coffee beans to folks that will consume them, but also that they can get a great price for that work, for their work as well. I was just talking with one of our partners in Kenya where they have nutritional gardens that they're teaching young women to establish in their homes, but they also have a camel breeding program, which gets communities through intense periods of drought. I just got back from Paraguay in December, and we saw programs that were teaching beekeeping and gardening and also water containment, responding to, or catchment, I should say, where the water is so salty there, they can't drill wells in these indigenous communities. And so they're focusing on catchment to establish enough sources of water for them to get through growing seasons and everything else. So 49 programs, 31 countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America, all very different, but they're all working with farmers and folks from those communities. So I thought I would tell one quick story of one community in Guatemala. The woman on the left there, or my left, the older woman, her name is Marta. I met her back a couple years ago, and when I had brought a group of volunteers from Growing Hope, yeah.
Excuse me, we're not seeing any screen. We're just seeing you.
Oh, you're not seeing any pictures?
No.
I can see your slides, Mark.
I can see your slides.
Yeah, we can see your slides.
Okay. Well, technology keeps us on our toes, so hopefully.
Sorry about that. It's just me that's not seeing them.
That's okay. No worries. Well, hopefully my storytelling will describe them well enough to tell the story about. So Marta is an older woman here who we had met. Like I said, I was with a group of volunteers from Growing Hope who had come down with me and others to visit this community. And when we met Marta, she brought us this big basket of vegetables. And it was just full of massive carrots, much bigger than anything I'm growing here in Decorah. And just clearly they were doing well. And so I asked Marta, tell me about your story. Like, obviously things are going well. You have this gift of vegetables for all of us. And she said, yeah, before this program was here, it was very challenging. We'd send my kids out, we'd be looking for food from vendors or anywhere we could get it just to get by. But now, clearly, with this big basket of vegetables that she was giving us as a gift, things were going well. while Marta's speaking, there's a young woman who walks in, and we learn it's her daughter, Maria. Maria came to just tell us thank you. Because she said because of the programming here, she was able to graduate from high school because they had enough resources they were able to raise that they could sell food and they could take care of themselves, sell food to the market, and be able to cover her school costs. So she was able to graduate from high school, and now she was taking a pause from education so her younger sisters could go to school, and she was working on the farm, but she had hopes to going off to college and getting a degree in human rights law. Which, if you know anything about the history of Guatemala and especially the indigenous people there, this was quite, there's a story there of responding to some injustices in the past. Anyway, so she was able to graduate, and so she just wanted to come say thank you. Well, then we met Lupita. Lupita is the other, the young girl in this picture. Well, in the highlands of Guatemala, the issue of stunting affects about somewhere around 50% folks, which stunting is, you're not getting those enough nutrients from conception to especially those first 1,000 days of life. So there's lots of health factors that come into that. One of those stunting is that you don't grow to the height that you could if you had those nutrients. Well, she's 12 years old in this picture. And you can see she's as tall as mom. And we realized she's as tall as mom. She was tall as her older sister. And as we walked around that community, the kids were as tall as mom and dad. Well, what did that tell us? That over this time period, things were beginning to change in a way that the folks that were younger were able to be getting these nutrients, and the story was changing for everybody. So I tell this story as just to kind of encapsulate one story of something we see repeated through the programming that we have around the world. So since we got going, we've helped 2.6 million people grow lasting solutions to hunger, as we like to say, and been able to make that impact. But we're able to make this impact because of our work with our partners. So this is a little bit of an infographic here that shows how we work and who we work with. So the local participants would be the folks that I just talked about, right? The farmers and their families, the program participants that we're working with. The local partner, I often describe this as ag extension, right? This is a local partner from that community, that region, who is teaching folks how to farm, and in that unique way and in that context. So Growing Hope does not have staff overseas at all. We work with local partners from those communities, from those regions. But we do this work in partnership with 11 different Christian relief and development organizations. You can see their logos there on the screen. And it's a pretty big tent in light of the church. And so we work with Catholic Relief Services, Lutheran World Relief, UMCOR, which is United Methodist. We have evangelicals groups, Pentecostal groups, all working and committed to this work. And they're the ones that bring us the programs overseas and say, hey, as a member of Growing Hope, does this fit within your sort of portfolio, I guess, of ag development? And then we, as Growing Hope globally, work to help resource and financially resource those programs through our growing projects. Our model of growing projects is a big part of who we are, and alongside working with individual donors. So what a growing project is it's a community fundraising project that leverages the financial yield of a harvest. Once again, as agriculture is different, it looks different in a lot of places, but because we're here in Iowa, I'll use Iowa as the example. And the first step is gathering donations, whether it's going to be land, maybe seed from a seed dealer, maybe it's somebody who's going to volunteer for labor or whatever it is. And basically farmers doing what they're already doing and growing a crop or raising animals, going through that whole harvest cycle, coming to that point of harvest and harvesting here, and selling everything here. But it's the dollars that they raise that then they can designate to one of those 45 or so different programs we have overseas. So everything is sold here, but those dollars raised are what go to help serve these programs. So a typical project will involve, farmers and churches, agribusiness, civic groups, folks from all these different arenas that work together to be able to raise these resources. Um, so like I said, it looks different everywhere because agriculture looks different everywhere. But what it is, we found is the model is a lot of who we are too, because this offers this opportunities for people to come together around generosity to make a shared difference more than they could just make on their own. So we've seen things multiply as agriculture does, right? 5 to 6 times as much as one person maybe would just give on their own. And so it's a kind of an exciting venture. I got involved because when I was pastoring a little church out in Washington State, we started one of these growing projects with apples. And so we did a direct sale of apples that were donated by local orchardists to churches across the Pacific Northwest. And so is this. And then we created a whole event around it. So it became this really great life-giving event that folks got involved with. So they would have 25 to 30 different churches involved, and they'd be raising about $35,000 every year through the sale of these apples. But it was just a little church. But they were fighting above their weight class, I guess you could say, in terms of the difference that they were making. So that's the group that was involved. But we have other projects like in Waverly, Nebraska, a small town outside of Lincoln, where they host a farmers market within their church every year, and folks bring whatever wares they have or um, things from their garden or whatever it might be that they're selling after a service, including Hope Blend Coffee, which is a coffee that a roaster up in Minnesota that's how he's doing it because agriculture is everything, from seed to table. And so he's roasting beans that he's buying from one of our programs in Uganda, roasting it in Chanhassen, Minnesota, and then selling it online, and half the proceeds are going back to Growing Hope. So it's kind of a win-win across the board. There he is with showing us his roastery and all of that. Um, a lot of times, growing projects, though, involve lots of different folks. As I said, folks from different churches, from organizations, from agribusiness, that all get involved and often have these signs in their fields advertising what they're about and what they're doing. And they build a lot of things into it. There's a lot of celebrations that'll happen. So this is folks out in Maryland that do a kind of a worship service thing at Harvest and invite the community to come out, and they do just a fun time together. We have other folks that are out doing things throughout the year, dinners and events, just to build a bit of sort of community into the whole thing. And it's really always an exciting time to be a part of those. I get to go and visit those folks a lot. We also get to bring farmers and those involved with our local programs here to the U.S. This is Fernanda, who works with one of our programs in Honduras, and she is at the Amstutz farm in Pulaski, Iowa, just south of Bloomfield. And she really wanted to hold a pig, and so he was able to get a pig there for her to hold. But it's great to be able to bring guests from overseas here to visit with farmers, churches, community groups, civic groups, FFA chapters who might be interested in learning more about the impact that they're making. We also go and visit the programs. As I said, I just got back from Paraguay back in December. And so we bring folks that are involved, students and others that might be interested in seeing the work firsthand. And so actually I was able to bring my son, who's standing there next to me, who's a junior at Decorah High School, and be able to see the work that's going on there in Paraguay, along with some other volunteers and there with the local staff. All in all, we have 110 or so growing projects that are in 19 states. We're pretty strongly centered here in the Midwest, but we do have projects all the way from Washington State to Delaware and even one down in Florida. So here in Iowa, what do we have? You can see this map here shows some of the growing projects that we have in Iowa. I didn't count them up here, but maybe 15 or so, that are all, some of these are one farmer who's doing something. Others of them involve FFA chapters, as I'll talk about in a moment here, and up to maybe 15, 20 farmers that are working together. So this is one example. This is down in Burlington, Iowa. This is actually a church that has 3.5 acres of land that is farmed every year. And I've been going for 10 years now, I think. So it's a First Christian Church down there, and it's farmed by some farmers from a Catholic church, actually, in the community next door, who also have a growing project. But this is right on their land. So if you walk right, if you drive up to the church, you see they always have this corn or soybeans growing every year. And then they go through that, the group picks a program and is able to decide where they want to send those dollars every year. And this last year, the pastor visited one of our programs in Cambodia. This is a great project in Manchester, Iowa. It's actually farmers from Manchester, Strawberry Point, and Ryan. They've been going for some time. There's kind of a patchwork quilt of different land and different farmers that are doing it, and a lot of it's their own land, but we have land that is owned by Iwalu Camp, Lutheran camp in that area, along with some other donated land, some cemetery land that hasn't been there's not people there right now, but they're actually using it as part of their project. But this group has raised over $900,000 and made a great difference. I'm actually going to be with them on Monday evening, and they've even moved online now so people can support what they're doing, kind of be a virtual farmer by adopting a quarter of an acre or half an acre or an acre. In Ackley, Iowa, we have a project there with an FFA chapter that has been really doing great work. They have a test plot. And so they get the seed donated. The farmer there is the one who's donated the land, and the kids farm it and do all the work there with the test plot. But when it comes time to harvest, everything is sold here, and they donate those dollars to Growing Hope. They got started with a grant. We have grants for FFA chapters, both on the beginning and then on the back end, to match dollars, but in the beginning to just get them started, along with some other curriculum opportunities we have for them. We do some classroom visits and just other ways to get students educated on what agricultural development might look like. So really who we are is really focused on this a sense of, a lens of abundance instead of scarcity, having hope in our name. We try to live up to that name. And so saying with what we have, what can we do? What difference can we make? So if you're interested at all, just some next steps. If you're interested, talking about a growing project, I travel across, like I said, I work with our growing projects in the upper Midwest and the West Coast. So would love to talk to folks that might be interested in exploring what that might look like. Obviously, we invite individuals to donate to our overseas programs to be a part of that. Also, we love having guests come and visit our programs overseas. We have a group that's going to Zambia here in a couple of weeks, another group that's going to Bolivia very soon, and we actually have a group that'll be going to Nepal coming up in June, which is just being advertised. So actually there's space on that. And we have great grants for what we like to say the next generation, which is those under 40, for us, and wanting to get more people involved in this work. So I'm going to skip the video here, I think, and maybe just go to Q&A if there's any questions that I can help answer. But again, just really appreciate the time and the opportunity to share a little bit and share my Zoom account as well, and just be with you all today. So thanks.
Well, thank you, Mark. It's humbling how much good stuff is going on out there, and I have to tell you, in the context of your visit, I've been wrestling with Tammy, trying to think about, and Jamie, about what we as a chapter could do, and I love your program, so we'll stay in touch somehow or another, and maybe we'll blossom into something. Who knows?
Yeah. Awesome. Wonderful.
So, Mark, you mentioned, or Selden, I think, mentioned in his introduction of you that he maybe saw you at a Practical Farmers event.
Mhm.
And so, are the Practical Farmers of Iowa involved in this program at all?
Not the organization per se, other than sort of giving space. We have farmers, though, that are involved with some of our growing projects that have been are also involved with Practical Farmers. And so I tend to visit farm shows and other conferences and such, to have a table. And so that's why I was there at that time. Yeah.
So, if there are farmers interested, then that QR code you have on the screen is good information to share with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just to our website there. Yep. So growinghopeglobally.org.
Jamie, why don't you pose your question?
Yeah, and if anybody's got questions, you can either put them in the chat or go ahead and raise your hand or go ahead and start talking. I did have a question about, do you run into any government greed or other bureaucracy that you have to deal with, issues like that at all?
Thankfully, what we're we don't work with the governments of the countries we're working with. We're working with local partners in those communities. Um, the only time I would say, those often a local partner needs to register with the government. And so depending on the government, there has been, some wrinkles, uh, here and there. But most of the time, that's not really an issue for us because we don't work with governments in terms of our funding. It goes to these local partners, which are, either, small nonprofits that are working in those areas or faith-based groups or, you know, things of that like. Yeah.
That's good. It sounds
I
like
have
some
to tell you, I
dollars
was
will
very
be
impressed
shut
with
off
the
by a
program.
government then.
I have to be very impressed. I think you had a program that there was an emphasis on women
Yeah.
taking leadership in agriculture locally, and I thought that was very powerful, very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of our programming is focused on, and there's a lot of development work around the world on working with women. And for us, of course, is particularly tied to agriculture. Yeah.
So Charles Knicker asked the question about local congregations, and that appears to be very prominent in your
Yes,
activity. You find a church that wants to work and
absolutely. That's a big part of what we do, is work with local congregations and get them involved. And so what we found too is, right, it's this rather life-giving thing, for congregations to be involved in. It's especially uniquely, I mean, we work with urban churches and metro churches, but especially for rural congregations, it celebrates who they are, and lifts them up in the process too. So it was certainly, I saw for my own congregation, I can speak, a renewing thing for our church, to be involved with this, and so, yeah, I definitely would encourage any congregations to reach out, and that's a lot of where I spend my time. So
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
but not necessarily Rotary chapters, right? Or Rotary.
Um, no, we have Rotary involved in some places. We have a great FFA project in Lyndon, Washington, which is Northwest Washington, where Rotary's been supportive of them, particularly with the students and helping, give grants to them. Actually, Decorah Rotary has been involved somewhat, in the work here with our community the growing project here. They actually took over the pork chop sales from the local growing project here, which they would offer at Nordic Fest and the fair. That was used to be the fundraiser for the growing project here, but it just became a little too much logistically for them. That's how I found out about Rotary, actually, was that connection. And then I joined Rotary as well. But they've been supportive in other ways too. So we've seen the FFA connection's been a good one as well. Especially Rotary's interested in that, but a lot of communities are too. So it's been a good tie-in.
Yeah.
Quiet group today. Any other questions out there? Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. It's awesome to hear you're Rotarian up there in Decorah, and what wonderful work you're doing to help give people the opportunity to grow and in their own communities and support themselves and flourish that way. So that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again for letting me join. And yeah, feel free anyone to reach out and be happy to connect again. And I also noticed just on a logistical side that I think this will be recorded to my Zoom account. So I'll make sure figure out pass it along so it gets back to whoever needs it.
Great,
Thank
Mark. If you'll hold on for a second when everybody else gets off, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Perfect. And thank you again, Mark. And then I want to also extend a thank you to Kristen, giving us an update about the United Way, the funds that Rotary was able to help with that from the community grant standpoint. And then also Megan for the Ames Public Library. Thank you both for giving us an update on that. Appreciate that very much. Just a little couple more housekeeping things. Remember, next week we are in person back at the Plex. We'll have Mayor John Hala with us to give us a state of the city address and in person there. And then we will be online the following week. Let me pull up that info quick here. We'll be online meeting with William Tipson talking about Rotary Peace Institutes. And then the first Monday of March, we are also online with Betsy Sturzma, Iowa's new behavioral systems. Then our next, so that's 2 in a row there. Keep that in mind that March is a little bit different. And then our middle of the month, the 16th, we're still trying to get together groups that will host at their place of business. So we would have that offsite fellowship there that way. So I think that's all I had for updates. Again, thank you to our speaker, Mark. Appreciate that. And we will close out today with our 4-way test. If you're able to do that with me. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Sure.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great week. Appreciate that. And Mark, stay on so you can get with Tammy and maybe we can get that uploaded. So thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Mark, I think you have my email from earlier.
Mhm.
Yeah, so why don't you go ahead and send it there? That would be great. And thank you
Super.
so much for being able to pivot with us so quickly.
No worries. I know how that goes. So not
Yeah,
a big deal.
Yeah, and now I know for some reason there's something at the top that had your name that I must have clicked it, so I would just see you, not your screens, which I never knew existed.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries.
Interrupting you mid-sentence when I thought nobody could see your slides. And then do you know Joshua Vorvik in Decorah? Does that name sound familiar? He's at I think he's at his, I'm pretty sure his wife is they might be at Luther, not at the high school.
Yeah.
They're for like all state music. And
Yes.
like that. I think
I know I don't know them, but I know who he is. Yes.
yes. So he's one of he's he's a singer-songwriter with whatever he does during his time, and he's played at our building before. So,
Okay.
and his wife, I'm not sure has the same last name as him, but I think she's a
Yeah.
teacher. So,
Yes, I
yeah.
do. I'm trying to think of the context where, yeah, at Luther though, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it feels like they're at Luther. Oh, that's because they're repping Luther like at Allstate Music and maybe Allstate Speech too, where they have, the colleges come in to get to the high school kids. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So,
Yeah, I know the name. I mean, I'm also very guilty of convincing myself I know names because everything sounds familiar, but I'm pretty sure I know
right.
because I think they actually might even live um not far from me here too. So yeah.
Well, it's not like I expect you to know everyone in Decorah, but
It's a small
like,
town, but
I'll go ahead and ask. Yeah.
yeah. So
All right. Well,
great.
that's great work. We had somebody called Clayton Farms, so which is a standalone restaurant now that does microgreens.
Oh yeah.
He presented to us and fed us lunch back in like October, but I don't know if he has enough product. And his farm is actually the store now. Like they took over like I don't know if it was a Burger King or a fast food place out at the mall in town. And so he doesn't actually have land anymore. He's just got a building and he grows microgreens under lights.
Yeah.
And salads and smoothies.
Huh. This is in
Yeah.
Ames? Or
In
in
Ames,
Stark County? Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. And I think he right now is donating, his extra produce, I think, goes to like Food at First or something. But I might send him your information just in case.
Yeah, please do.
Interested in. Because he's building storefronts out in San Francisco as
wow.
well.
Okay.
So he's an Iowa State alum who went through the SciStarter entrepreneurial program here and has started a couple different businesses. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. No, please do. Yeah, I would love to connect. So,
Okay, great.
all right.
All right. And if you wouldn't mind, if those slides are able to be, well, I guess they'll see it in the recording. So
yeah.
you don't need the slides. Yeah,
And
that'll be great.
I'll probably send it through WeShare, I think it's called, or
Yeah.
for larger files. Just when you see it coming, it'll come that way. So
okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks so much, Mark. Appreciate you.
yeah, thanks. Appreciate the time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.